Everyone, and welcome to today's video. You can call me Bryer, and if you read the title, you will know that in today's video, I am going to be making a drawing based off of a randomly generated color palette. This is basically just a 3-marker challenge, but digitally, so I'm going to be using this website called Colors, and once you hit start generate, it gives you a color palette with, I think, 5 or 6 colors. I think that's all that I need to explain, so let's get started. Hey everyone, I don't know if you can hear me because I'm using just the free Apple screen recorder, so I have no idea how well this is going to work. I'm just going to press start generator, and whatever shows up is the color palette that I am going to work with this video. Ooh, okay, so this is the color palette that has been decided for me. This actually looks really cool. I'm just going to screenshot this and save it, and yeah, now onto the artwork. The color palette I was given is mostly made up of a variation of pinks and one green and a black, more gray than black color. It's just very dark. When I think of these colors, my first thought was do some sort of like fantasy sci-fi sort of thing, like some sort of distant alien planet. While I did end up sticking to the sort of fantasy theme, I didn't quite commit to the whole sci-fi idea. I was honestly really struggling for some reason with the hair at first, so of course I turned to Pinterest like one does. I saw this cool drawing of a sheep, and for some reason that just like hit some sort of inspiration in me. Then I was just like, well, what if I drew this character's hair like a sheep's or inspired by a sheep's? Ended up giving her very fluffy hair, and this wasn't on the drawing, but I also gave this weird like little tassel bit at the end. Kind of just decided to make her some sort of like mystical sheep ram person. It's honestly the most random piece of inspiration, especially when you take into consideration that I was looking for hair references, and out of all of the millions of references on Pinterest, it was a drawing of a sheep. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, but the final drawing ended up looking pretty cool, so I think it worked out for the best. Anyways, while I was talking about the sheep, I already got most of the sketch done, and I ended up doing this sort of almost very inaccurate medieval-based outfit with like a corset. I don't really know how to explain it, but just for some reason when I imagine this ram character, I imagine them in some sort of like medieval-based setting. I can't explain it, to be completely honest. Before I did any of the line art or final rendering, I planned out all of the colors for the character and also for the background. Something I've been working really hard with is to actually draw more detailed backgrounds, which also the lighting that I'm adding here, none of it sticks. I end up completely ditching this lighting, so sorry if you liked it or something. I was just going through and experimenting with how I could draw this background with the exact same color palette as the character. And also later on, I experiment a lot with shadows and lighting to try and create more of a contrast between the character and the background because of the fact that they have the exact same color palette. Also, you may have noticed that in the drawing, I used a couple of darker shades that weren't in the color palette. I honestly just figured that if I was using the original color to create the darker color, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I mean, I'm still staying pretty true to the color palette, just changing the original colors up a little bit so that I have a more interesting design. Anyways, I have been working on the liner, and for some reason I really struggled with the front bangs of the hair. I just had no idea how to make it look somewhat normal. And I still don't know if it looks that great, but this is kind of what I ended up settling with. I struggled so much with this hand. Oh my gosh, I know it's never a surprise when someone struggles with drawing a hand, but it was just so frustrating. I could not figure it out. After a few minutes of trying, I eventually just turned to Pinterest to find a reference that I would actually have somewhat accurate of a drawing. Even after I drew the hand somewhat well, I still had to size it up because it was so much smaller than the other hand. I almost got started on the colors, but then I realized that I had completely forgotten to draw the horn. To start off, I didn't actually plan what colors I wanted to put where. I just blocked out random colors in random spaces so that I could easily just like use the color drop feature and put in the colors that I had chosen in my original sketch. As you can see here, I'm going back and forth between the sketch layer and the rendered drawing to figure out the colors. Pretty much kept the exact colors I planned in my original sketch, however, I did end up changing the colors from a black to a light green. Now I've gotten started on the background, and honestly why I struggle with backgrounds so much is just because whenever I'm drawing them, if I try to draw them more cartoony to match my art style that I've drawn the character in, it just always looks bad and like simple and boring. However, if I put in too much detail and make it too realistic, it just clashes with the character. So I almost have to work to find some odd middle ground that works well. Yeah, so the background that I ended up going with is this sort of dark hidden forest sort of ordeal. I used the black for the path, the trees, I used the green for the shrubbery, and I used the pinks in the background for some sort of like sunset sky look. And for the background, I approached it like cell shading, however, instead of using a smoother brush, I used this sort of like bush brush to try and find some sort of weird middle ground between realism and cartoons. For the trees, I don't really know if you can tell here, but I used some sort of weird shading technique just to give them texture. Now I'm pretty much happy with how the character and the background looks, so I'm just going through and doing some shading, lighting, and just generally final rendering to finish off this piece. Part of me kind of misses the original like very bright yellow dappled lighting I had gone for originally, but it honestly just wouldn't have worked with this scene. While I do end up shading the character quite differently than the background, I did want to keep some consistency in it, so I did end up including the lighting technique that I used for the bushes in the background. Now, does this lighting and shading work at all? Probably not. But I don't know, I was just going from some sort of like dark at night in the forest, only lighting is like the moon or something. Yeah, it doesn't really make much sense, but it looks cool, so I guess it's okay. To further push the contrast between the background and the foreground, I basically just made the background a lot darker. At the last minute, I added stripes to her horn just so that it seemed a bit more interesting than the plain color. And there you have it, the final drawing. This was honestly a really fun challenge, and I would definitely recommend it to any artists out there. And this was honestly such a cool website because I had always loved doing the 3 marker challenges, but I never knew how to do it digitally. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give a big thumbs up and comment down below what other challenges you would like to see me tackle in the future. Also, if you're new to the channel or you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit that post notification bell so you're alerted every time I upload a video. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, I genuinely appreciate all of you who watch and support my videos. I know I say it in every video, so I hope that doesn't make it seem less genuine, but like seriously, all of your guys' support, like your comments and everything, it means the world to me, so thank you. Anyways, that's all that I have to say for now, so remember to stay weird, and I'll see you guys next time.